Hello everyone and welcome back to SIMseniors. Welcome back to the 5th season and welcome one and all to Group 2, the inaugural round of Group 2. You joined us at the first set yesterday. You joined us for Group 1 around Silverstone last time. And to those of you who are joining from that cast, welcome. You're pulling double duty. I see you. We respect you. Thank you for coming along. For those who are new, we run a championship for all, say, over 40 sim racers. It's the place to be, and it's the league that you want to get involved on. And where we land ourselves tonight is going to be the Group 2. So we have two groups. They are still ranked in terms of skill all the same. And we are going to get ourselves into that right about now. Let's talk the venue. First things first, the venue. It is Silverstone. And it is a very good track to start us out on. It's going to be a good one. 18 corners, nearly 6 kilometers. 5-minute practice to acclimatize. Drivers have been practicing a bit before this, of course. But also 15 minutes of quali. So you get a chance for a few good laps in, 4 or 5 good laps, I'd say, out of that. And then you have a 60-minute race, which is going to be pedal to the metal, full bore, full power. We saw some big champions, some big contenders in Group 1. Let's see if that's going to be mirrored in Group 2. So 60 minutes, 25-second pit stop for fuel is mandatory. And with that, you also have a choice of getting tyres. So additional 5 seconds is put on if you choose to get tyres. So there is going to be some strategic elements coming in here. So we have a bit of a upgrade from the Group 1 cast, and that is our spotters guide. So if you take a quick look, we have our 3 classes of gold, silver and bronze. The gold division is going to be denoted by the white driver numbers on the timing cheats, and it is going to be the fastest of the fast, our top specs before you move to the silver class, using the silver driver numbers, and is going to form what was previously the Pro-Am. Finally, you have the bronze class, which is all your drivers who are currently sort of sitting as someone who maybe is a little bit newer or getting a bit more pace under their wings. It's a good sort of healthy league, and it will be denoted by red driver numbers you can see here. Let us know who you are rooting for out of those groups. Looking at a few drivers here, I'm seeing a few familiar names from rounds prior, from leagues prior as well. So I'm very excited to see who is going to come out on top and who is going to set a statement, certainly in quali. And we are going to jump ourselves in just a moment, folks. We're about to jump into quali. We're not going to waste any time here. That's the track, that's the racers, and we are jumping trackside to get ourselves in to quali, full bore, full pelt. Let's do this, folks. It's Group 2, it's SIMseniors, and it's Silverstone. And immediately, we jump in. And it's going to be Dorigo with a little bit of an off-track excursion. You see him quickly try and surge back up to the field. And you look at the map, you've got a few drivers who are about to get started. Let's jump on with Peter Martin in a Red Bull adorned BMW M4 GT3. Let's see what he can do here. Let's see what he can push for. And we have 13 minutes. So, like we were saying, about 4 or 5 good laps if you've got it in you. You've got a few good laps in you, and let's see what the drivers can make of it here. Coming out of Chapel, hang a straight. Down into Stowe, see if you can lean into the front end a little bit. Get your car rotated around, but not at the expense of dropping the rears. You're looking fairly stable through this section. Now to Vale. Heavy on the brakes, stick as far to the outside as you can. Try and get the apex, but not too close to the sausage curb, because you have to ride the throttle out coming into club. Find a careful balance of driving pace and your sort of comfortability with the car. We have Abbey, Vom, down into Village now. Two very tight right then left-handers. Really got to lean into the rotation of the car. Make sure that you are comfortable with that thing spinning round, because it will bite back if you do not show it the correct respect. And then down the Wellington straight, Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcote, and that is your lap completed. We're going to see the initial hallmarks of a lap here. We're going to see what's the set pace is going to be here in Group 2. Peter Martin, first car on the field to set a lap. What is it going to be? It's going to be a good one because he looked fairly stable. And it's going to be a 159.812. Is anyone going to match it? You've got Andrew Goddard coming in with a 59 flat, 0.060. He's going to put himself firmly in the top of the timesheet. And a few more drivers are about to come through. We'll see what they can do. Angelo Corralo going to be the next one in. Hughes and Mikulev are coming in with third and fifth, as Thompson's going to go 59.4. He's going to make himself right at home in the top five. You're going to see a few more cars coming through there. Corralo 202.7, so he's not going to be on necessarily the pace he wants, but he's certainly going to have to really buck his ideas up if he wants to get in those top places by the end. We have 38 cars on track today and some good initial laps from the field. Remember, these are kind of your feeler laps. This is where you're getting to know the track. You're getting to understand its nuances and understand where you can push, where you need to dial it back. Dorigo, of course, we saw with an off-track excursion last lap out, has managed to get themselves on a clean run. And we're going to see if they can commit that to a full go round the course. There's a few more drivers are creeping into the 2s and the 201s. Pollock, Mellon, Walker, and then Dorigo's about to join them. 2 minutes and 8/10 of a second. Very nicely done there. He's going to slot himself P6 quite comfortably, so in fact. Bernard Heim next out on the field. Apparently 9-minute lap last time out. Not sure how that's possible. I think ACC is having what we can only describe as a bit of a moment. We have a few more cars coming through. See, that's another one, and Heim is going to drop himself P17, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. A few more cars coming around. Quinn Kellenberg from the McLaren is going to be next on our shot list. We're going to see if he can fully commit to a lap, as we've got a couple more cars. Smith was just started a lap. Winkelenberg's going to go 22, 203.9. Gary Broadbent, another driver. We have 25 cars who have completed their laps by this point, and looks like the time to beat is a 59.0. We top the timing sheets here for Rom Goddard, and it's a very clean time indeed. But a few more cars are slotting themselves firmly into that 2-minute realm, and even with some handicaps and ballast, as we've just seen, I think that was Alex North just going in P4. He's going to be another driver to jump himself into the Magic 59s. So we jump ourselves back into the hot seat. Anthony Flack, next one to cross the line. as we had Hill just come through with an amazing lap. He's going to put himself P5. Can Flack get himself onto even keel? We'll see in good time. And he's going to go P9 with a 59.6. So now the benchmark has truly been raised. The top 10 are all in less than 2 minutes. And that is a statement that a few drivers might find a little bit difficult to match. Paul Murray next up. Murray Sim Racing. Pushing hard. And across the line, it is going to be a P11, 59.932. Considering he's in the silver class, he's net P4 in quali here for his division, and he's doing a heck of a job controlling that beast of a 720S. Peter Smith in the Porsche. Porsche seeming fairly rare around this circuit, dominated by 296s. 296 GT3s all could be a little bit of an obstruction on the lap, but 203.2 is going to net him 33rd out of 38 here. Only person left to set a lap is Frank Tennant, the Dick Dastardly and Muttley team. I can respect the reference, I do love to see it. And curiously enough, he's the only driver on the track in a Bentley. It's the only car in the Continental GT3. So I respect that individuality as well. Gonna see how he handles a bit of traffic, however, as we come through Village and into the loop. If he can get the power down on Aintree, he can get around some of the other cars that he's trying to share space with. He's not close enough to really be affected by dirty air all that much, but he has still got a difficult challenge. Let's see, Frank Tennant, last driver on a lap. Or last one to set a lap, I should say. But no, he's going to abandon. He's going to head into the pits. Then you jump around to the one of the other Porsches on the field. Eero Visuri. It's about a second up. Where's that going to land him? He's going to land in P18, 2 minutes and 8/10 of a second. A very big improvement there from Visuri. But we are going to also see a bit of a push from Andrew Goddard. Remember, 59.060 made the initial statement. He's been overtaken by Hughes and Pollock. Pollock being the only one to get into the 58 in the silver class, mind you. So amazing on-track statement. Is Andrew Goddard going to respond across the line now? Yes, he is. 58.6. What a run in the 296 GT3. Excellent stuff. Is there going to be any response from Pollock? No, he's jumped into the pits despite being positive on the Delta. Around the rest of the field, Paul Murray, another driver to look out for as he goes through and leans into the car coming through Stowe. But he's got a couple of traffic cars ahead of him. He's going to have to negotiate this situation very carefully. If he's on a push lap, he's going to best hope the drivers are giving way. Luckily, one of them is in fact going to give way, and I think is heading back into the pits for that matter. A little bit of a wide line, but it's needed to get the power out on exit. As we come out into the Wellington Straight, it's the kind of speeds we're going to be hitting. So see a couple of yellow flags coming out where drivers are peeling off the racing line to jump back into the pits. A couple of local yellows coming out. Is Murray going to make an improvement? I don't know if he is. It's going to be very close. The Delta's jumping in and out, in between positive and negative. It's not going to be an improvement, sadly. It's going to be a 2-minute flat, which is under, or over, I should say, what his previous was. Big improvement, though, coming from Giovanni in the Aston Martin. It's about half a second up on his previous. Let's jump on board and see what he can do. If he can link this lap together, as it can sort of gauge by the similarities in liveries, I think we got some teammates, and that Porsche is going to peel right off track, even going into the grass, potentially dirtying his tyres. That's some good sportsmanship right there. And as we round the last couple of corners, we round ourselves a Luffield Woodcote to cross the line. Potential big improvement. He is going to improve up to P14. Next driver to cross the magic 2-minute barrier. And scraping by a hair, just 15 milliseconds. So it really is going to come down to the wire now. Looking a bit further down, Roger Dismiquez in a very striking black and green livery. That almost looks iridescent green, or like a chrome. Very striking livery indeed, but what's more striking, currently a second up, where many other drivers on the field are struggling to make improvements. So let's see what he can commit to here. If he can get himself a solid run, a solid line through these last couple of corners, jumping out of Luffield, hard on the throttle. You can get away with a little bit of slip angle in these Porsches, so don't be afraid to push it. And he's going to push it. He is going to make an improvement. 2 minutes and 8/10 of a second. Only enough for P21, but still a very solid improvement when you look at some of the rest of the field. You've got Keith Moore, another McLaren driver, who was on an improvement but seems to be struggling a little bit to commit fully to the time. I think one of the biggest challenges of Silverstone, one of the biggest challenges as we come to the last 30 seconds here, and we've seen fairly static times, barring a few drivers, is just having the consistency. You have very high commitment corners, especially the iconic section that is Maggots, Beckett, and to a degree Chapel coming onto the Hangar Straight. That is such a high commitment section that you need to have full faith in your car, and you need to know that it's going to behave consistently, and you're behaving consistently to extract the result. And if you cannot get that, then you cannot link good times together. It's simple as that, because one wrong turn is going to compromise you throughout the rest of that complex entirely, and even into the rest of the lap beyond, because you're not going to get the speeds. As we see coming across the line, Keith Moore, 2 minutes 0.6 is going to be where he stands. No improvement on his last lap. Few other drivers are going to make some improvements, so we've got Murray up ahead and Martin just behind. So are we going to see any improvements? First Murray, a little bit further ahead, is going to get an improvement, but Peter Martin is going to leapfrog him immediately after and get him by just over or just under 1/10 of a second. Really incredible stuff. You've got Andrew McKillop making a run here, very wide on the apex. However, he's lost a significant chunk of time through that corner. Is Angelo Corello going to make the same mistake as we come down the Wellington Straight? So if he doesn't, Brooklands give it everything he's got. And we're going to see potential improvements. I think he's lost a bit of time. Andrew McKillop is going to cross the line, and he's going to go P15. Big jump on the field. And that is quali, ladies and gentlemen. 58.6. We saw it from Goddard. What a run from him there. Amazing stuff and amazing drive. So that is your quali standings. You say Goddard is going to be in the front alongside Hughes and Pollock is going to be in third place, really punching above his weight in the silver class. I got to say, excellent stuff. Then you jump down the field, highest in the bronze class. It's going to be Hilton in the Ferrari, the number 770 car. 1.7 or nearly 1.8 seconds off the lead, but that is still over half a second clear of his next in-class competitor. So big pats on the back for you, mate. And you can see a little bit of the chatter coming in there. Good luck, have fun, and hold the brakes if you spin. A little bit of racing rules. If you make a excursion off track, if you spin for whatever reason, hold the brakes. Do not try to wrestle back control because you are not consistent. If you don't hold the brakes, then you could get yourself into even deeper of an accident, and that is not what we want. We're going to take a quick second to take a small intermission, folks, while the drivers get themselves ready and get themselves set up for the race ahead. The 60-minute race. You don't want to go anywhere for it. We'll be right back. And we're about to jump straight back in, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're about to go trackside with these drivers. And we're about to see. We're about to see none other than some top tier racing. Remember, here is your quali standings. And here is the kind of car distribution that you can expect. A lot of Ferraris, quite a few McLarens as well, but interspersed with the occasional Aston Martin, BMW, and then the Bentley of Tennant down at the bottom, along with, I believe, there is a Lexus. Curiously enough, I think there is a... That is a Lexus. We have a Lexus on track. It's amazing. I never thought I'd see the day. Beautiful stuff. It's always nice to see. But let's jump in, and the session is about to get underway. Formation lap is about to begin. 60 minutes of hard committed driving. Opportunity for drivers to get in formation, get some heat into their tyres. You can hear them all in the background. You can see they're just trying to get some heat and some temperature into the rubber before they start. Get themselves rubbered in, getting themselves gripped up. The track has to an extent rubbered in from quali, but it might not be enough. So they've still got to work hard. And then all is still. Let us know, folks, who you are rooting for. Who you've got your eyes on. Who you've got penned to win the race. For each class, potentially some underdogs. Let's see what these drivers can do. Inaugural round of Season 5, Group 2, new class system. A little bit of a rebalance thrown in for good measure. And we're going to have ourselves a very spicy season indeed. See the slew of race cars pouring down the straight. Now is just the critical phase pre-race where you have to decide. Now they've already decided in setups and initial fuel load. The drivers are constantly thinking in their heads prior to the race. How am I going to get away with this start? Is there going to be room for me to make a breakaway? Am I going to be looking at a little bit of chaos? Or are we going to be seeing a little bit more calm in this race? As much as we love a little bit of chaos, it's a bit of entertainment. Drivers want to get through this race in one piece. They want to make it home. And so especially for the likes of the mid-pack, as you see this mass of cars, the mid-pack is going to have to be very wary of how this initial set of laps plays out. And that setup in the early phases of the race is going to dictate everything else in their strategy. So you can see rounding through. And as we come up to Woodcote, let's go to the aerial. Let's go to the helicam. And let's see the kind of getaway that our race leader is going to have. Remember, everyone is in formation and everyone is running their 60km/h limit. This is some exciting stuff, and now we just wait. As soon as the green light goes, as soon as the green flag is up, it's time. And there you go, there we have it. We're away with Group 2 here in Silverstone. Let's see who can do some magic here on track. You've already got a little bit of fighting further down the field. You've got John Mitchell, who is pushing to get past one of his opponents, get a move confirmed. And already, there's a massive, massive incident around the bottom end of the field. Let's see what just happened there. You can see contact made from the Ferrari, and that's had a massive concertina effect. 3-4 wide, bashing left to right, and that is chaos in just the first section of the track alone. And we jump up to the further field. We can see a bit further in the back. There's another couple of cars. What's just happened? What has just happened there? It's absolute pandemonium further down in the field. And you can see if we jump to the replay cam and trying to get back on track, and that is P. Martin, and he just sideswipes trying to get back on. That is chaos at the bottom end of the field, and I'm sure nobody is going to be walking away happy. Even more chaos as Mike Bull, I think, got nearly involved in an incident there. It's all kicking off lap 1, folks. It's all kicking off here at lap 1. When I said the elbows were coming out, or we're going to see a little bit of strategic play, this is not what I had in mind. The elbows are certainly out, and those are 2 more cars! That is 2 more cars going off track. That is Devine, and that is Dismiguez coming out. And all of this chaos is weirdly counterbalanced. You jump to the top of the field, and we see Goddard and Hughes trying to keep proximity to each other, but the chaos at the bottom of the field cannot be understood or understated. Elm on the back of Hill. You can see just moves are being tried, moves are being attempted, but nearly contact there. Nope, space being shown, space being shown. See a bit of a drag race further down. Is someone going to yield? Is someone going to give? Battle for P20. A little bit of bump. It is going to be Hill who yields. Iller's the one you yield. Giovanni up in P11, trying to push for that P10 spot. Another driver to watch. Hilton is the leader of the bronze class and is the driver to watch right now, as they've got a completely neutral space of their own. 2 seconds up the road is Wallace up in P9. We're going to have to see some... we're definitely going to have to see some kind of clips or something else. And I know the Apologies channel is going to be lit up like a Christmas tree. I know it's January and it's bad luck, but I think given the occasion, we can keep it up a little bit longer. You see some movement around the field. Carl Thompson looking for potential against Moore. Has to go onto the marbles, has no choice after a failed attempt on a move. Ooh, little bit slip and slidey coming from the McLaren ahead. Is he going to try and pressure him into making a mistake? That's the question. Don't be overzealous on the brakes now. Remember, these two corners are very tight, and the neutral game of holding your line, holding your position, as that is Mike Ball rotated. Mike Ball is rotated. He throws himself over the sausage curb. That's another car going off the track. And interestingly, going to rejoin. I just want to see that again. I want to see the play-by-play of what happened. This is on board with Mikulev now. Really outbrakes himself. Narrowly avoids an accident with the other BMW of, I believe, Sullivan. Goes for a rejoin. Completely jumps himself across the track and across the curb, going over the... we'll say going over the loop and into Aintree. I'm not really sure what that move was, but certainly points for heroism. We'll say that. And that is another car going round. That's Heim. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is with these first few laps at Silverstone. There are absolute chaos, absolute pandemonium. It's the only way you can describe it. It's the only way you can describe it here. And crazily enough, out of all of this, at the top, you got Andrew Goddard and Mark Hughes completely in a zone of their own. I haven't switched off Helicam just because I haven't had the chance. But we are going to certainly see a fight for the lead materializing very, very soon. I think Goddard is just biding his time here. Let the two of them push up together, break a gap to the rest of the field, because now is where the chaos should start to settle. Although saying that, that is Quinkelenberg. That is him going perpendicular to the circuit. And you can see it was just caused by a rejoining Ferrari. I believe that was Heim in the yellow. You can see there he's just maroons, though does stay still, make sure he's not going to be an immediate threat to cars on track. Further up, Carl Thompson could be seeing a move on Visiri here. And he is going to go for it. He's going to go to the inside line. Can he make it work? He's got the commitment. He's got the line, the apex. He's got the speed out, so he can fully consolidate that move coming out of left field. Very nicely done. And that is a clean P14 right there. Great driving to be had. Great driving to be seen. Bit further up, battle for P6, is you got Anthony Flack right on the back of Melon. So that is the sort of white and red adorned Ferrari. And a rather classic colour scheme. I won't comment on the sponsors, but the colour scheme certainly has a presence of its own. And he's eyeing up potential moves, but McKillop is coming up very hot in his rear view. Bide your time. Don't be overzealous, and eventually you will put the pressure on to make a mistake. That is the game you've got to play here. Let the other drivers overextend. Worst case scenario, if they make mistakes, you get collected. The post-race stewarding is going to have things to say. Oh boy, will it have things to say. As we are coming up to the 10-minute mark of the race here, we are going to have ourselves some very good racing indeed. Now that things have calmed down, now that things have mostly settled, I think the calm is after the storm this time round. And the calm has finally made its way in. Andrew Goddard seemingly struggling to keep up with Mark Hughes. He's got a second clear right now. And Hughes, if he keeps this pace up, he could be on to get a couple of seconds lead by pit stop time. Carl Thompson is not content with this move on Vasuri. He's already made a move around Walker. And he's intent to get around Divatini. Curiously, the OM50 tags, I believe, is a shout to our good friends over at Old Man Sim Racing. Or, if I've got that wrong, please correct me in chat. I see OMS. And I want to support the friends. Always love for a fellow league community. Let's see what he can do here now. Let's jump on board. Try and see the kind of approach he's taking. You can see he's trying to stay out of the wake of the 720S. He doesn't want to get caught up in that dirty air. He could use a little bit of a slipstream, but with a little bit of crosswind, we might see some aero sensitivity start to play into these drivers. Because how aggressive your setup is could affect your pitch sensitivity and your sensitivity to winds. Because a crosswind might really upset your aero setup. Ooh, very close. You can just see in the rear view mirror, that is Walker in the Ferrari. Very, very close indeed. And he's going to have to keep his wits about him in terms of competition. As you can see, he's going to go to the inside. Is he committing to a move here? Not quite. He hasn't got the proximity just yet. One of his fenders is a little bit scratched up. I wonder if he got caught up in some earlier chaos. But he's going to go very hard on the brakes into the inside. A really good move there as Divatini just gets squeezed between himself and Walker. Really good run there. And he commits the move through Aintree. Hard on the throttle. Power out. Very nicely done there from the Porsche. Excellent stuff. Apparently we've got 28 incidents logged by lap 4, so that is a feat in and of itself. Giovanni Gila is going to be another driver to watch as we see them battling with Hilton. They did have a move for a split second there, but Hilton, on the inside line was able to get the move. But Thompson is not content with just one position. You can see they are going to the inside, and they are going to be going even harder on this race effort. We've crossed the 10-minute mark, and Thompson is up into P11 now with a really good run. Agus Beckett's Chapel. He can get a good rush through here. He might even see himself push into the top 10. A bit further up, we can see Neil Mellon. He's going to be going for an attack on another Ferrari. That's going to be Flack. It's not quite going to get the move there, but he could get a little bit of a switchback, or certainly get the nose in ahead of Vale and Club. But it's not looking like it's happening this time. Someone else is going to jump on it, though. That's McKillop. Doesn't quite happen. Goes the nose, goes for the move, applies that pressure, but it doesn't convert. Not yet, anyway. See at the top of the field, as we jump on with Alex North. Oh, very close there, very late on the brakes. Bit of a lunge coming from the AMR. But looking like a podium battle is going to commence in due course, as the top 3 runners are in very close proximity to each other once again. See, oh, that's a little bit of an off. That is Divatini. He's in the wall. Divatini. Want to see a little bit of a play-by-play of what happened there. Was he trying to chase one of his opponents? Let's see what happened. You can see he's just gone a little bit too deep. He's gone into the grass. And that's all it takes. Damage on his car getting applied. And now he's going to have to limp that thing back to the pits. Potentially for a very large time cost if he wants that damage off. Hiller once again on the back of Hilton. Hilton leading the bronze class by a very substantial margin, nearly an entire second by this point. Keep in mind, we're not even 15 minutes. We're not even at 25% race time. He's putting up a really good fight against some drivers in a completely different class. You can see, holds the inside, isn't going to let Gila get away that easy, and just places himself in the right spot to where he's not going to get meaningfully challenged. But look at this. What's this? There's some Ferraris that are going spinning. Let's see what's happened here. So we can see that Flack is off the track. They go a little bit too much on the inside, and they've just completely collected Melon there. Just completely collected him. And we jump back on board. We see a little bit of a drag race coming in from Flack. But they are going to have to be contending with some serious war wounds by this point. See a couple of other drivers who have unfortunately gone off. That's going to be Center and Mikalev. Don't really know what to make of that, but what we do know is that Melon is in the pits following that incident, and in fact they've disconnected entirely. So we are not going to be seeing them finishing the race today. Back up to the top now, Andrew Goddard. We've jumped on him a few times and we've seen that he has been pushing, but he's not made a move just yet. He's within a couple of tenths though, so Hughes could be within striking distance. Very much within that striking distance now. See, he's trying to follow, at least partially, follow Hughes's lines. If he can use the aero wake, then he can get a little bit of an edge on the straights. But whether he's close enough to get an effect from that, I don't actually know for certain. He's certainly going to be trying, though. He really is going to be trying. While I don't want to draw the focus away from the driving, I do want to sort of give a mention to how detailed the cockpits of these cars are. I really do find it impressive on a technical level. Anyway, back to the racing. And speaking of the racing, I think we just saw a little bit of an incident with Broadbent as they were fighting against Dorigo. You can see going for a bit of a drag race before going into Maggots Beggots. And just, yeah, doesn't quite have it. Doesn't have the grip, which is very curious because Dorigo looks like they've got fairly serious damage on that Ferrari. That car does not just get scuffed up on a whim. Something has happened. Something major seems to have happened. And something major is about to happen because I think Paul Murray is shaping up for a move on Tennant. It's within a couple of tenths. He's trying to stay out of that car's aero wake. Get a bit too close, you might experience a little bit of aero wash, so careful of that one. Wide berth from the Bentley, but is holding the position right now. Goes a bit more of a defensive line so he can take command of the apex. Power out through Aintree. Could we see a little bit of a move coming from Paul Murray here? Don't know if we are. I don't think we are today, folks, but rest assured the fight rages on. And we're starting to see a few drivers heading into the pits now. So, for instance, Carl Thompson, previously a fairly high position on the field, and now it's one of the first to get his stop done. So we'll see where he comes out. And I wonder if this early stop strategy is going to pay out for him. So come race payday is going to be question. Got Mike Hilton, who's finally had no choice but to drop back against Gila. But he seems like he wants to fight. Remember, P8, or P9, I should say. The timing board hasn't quite updated yet. P9, not a bad performance at all. Really good stuff, in fact. Considering the class he's in, although Walker is right behind him, and I think that's more what he's worried about right now. A very good show indeed. I think Anthony Flack, though, is going to have Walker taken care of if that move in through Village and into the loop was anything to go by. Let's see, tailing him, looking for opportunities. That's why these classes of racing are sometimes a bit slower paced, and oh, that was nearly something very scary. That is Hilton going off and nearly causing a collision following a poor run into Brooklands. Wow, I don't even know really what to make of that, to be perfectly honest with you. Just that was very, very dicey. That was a very dicey move. Whether that was a loss of control or what, I can't say. It looked like he just drifted off to the left side. Nearly collected Flack in the process. Or Walker. If my commentary does seem a little bit off today, I do apologise. My room that I am casting in is currently at 7 degrees Celsius. So certainly not the ideal temperature. Trust me, you don't have the camera on me right now, but there are many blankets and layers involved. And many layers can be the best description for the fights that are going on track. At the same time as you've got people trying to play a bit of strategic chicken up at the top end of the field, we've got some straight up classy moves coming in from the likes of Devine, who just made a really good move against Broadbent. But you look further up, and at the same time you got this, because you've got Coulomb making contact with the McLaren of Divatini, and that is going to see him heading right off into the grass. It's even just these mild little taps, it seems. I think it's just these small contact. As you can see, nearly coming to the racing line, and right as we rejoin, that is Sullivan veering off very, very wide coming off farm. Now, if I was one of these drivers on the grid, let's say I was McKillop, down in P5, I would just pump the brakes, and I would play it safe. I would play it calm. I would honestly play it calm. Because if you look at the current climate right now, and oh, that's contact! That is contact against Goddard. Was that by a back marker? That was Peter Smith. So Peter Smith, down in P32, you can see, veers off to the racing line and bumps one of the main race lead fighters in Andrew Goddard. Now that is certainly going to be frowned upon by stewards, because that is a vehement disregard for blue flag rules. I do not know what to make of that one there. But this kind of leads into what I was saying. Let's say if I was in McKillop's position, I would be looking at this, looking at what's going on, and granted 12 seconds between Pollock and North for P3 and P4, but I wouldn't even mind, because I'm in a safe space. I can see that the track around me is very chaotic. So play into that. Play a safe race. Don't be overzealous. Don't go for moves that are too aggressive. You've got a stable P5. Let's hang on to it. Let's keep it clear. Keep yourself out of trouble. I think that is more the priority for a lot of these drivers here. Like we've got, for instance, Fabio Basalo in the Porsche, and you can see visibly damaged on the front end. So he's maybe had a little bit of contact somewhere earlier along the lines. In his case, I'd be weighing up, how aggressive do I want to play this? Yes, I could get past Queen Kellenberg, but at what cost? Is it worth the fighting? Is it worth the potential risk? Considering there's 9 seconds between himself and the next driver up in Broadbent. See a few more cars heading into the pits. That's the 113 and the 279 of Center and Smith heading in, taking their mandatory stops. I wonder who has gone for the tyre swap, considering how much endurance has been a factor, less so than speed. I don't expect many people to take the optional tyres. But we jump back to the front, and we don't really have a fight for the lead anymore. Unfortunately, Andrew Goddard being caught up in that incident, not only has he dropped outside of the sort of second range, it's about 1.5 seconds behind Hughes, but I think it's not unreasonable to say he might also have damage to his car, which is going to affect his aero performance. You can see currently his last lap was a 2 minute and 1 second, 201.435. We're going to see as he comes across the line in just a second whether he's going to be able to keep up the pace to Hughes or whether he's sinking. Because if he's sinking here, as we see a little bit of instability in that 296, then that could be a death knell for his race efforts. Anyway, coming across the line, final corner, it's going to be a 159.7 and only 28 milliseconds behind Hughes' lap. So maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I think Goddard is fine, or at least in a position where he can keep the performance up. Curiously, in all of that, we have Pollock, who has dropped behind the Ferrari. So I'm curious as to where that was. The timing table just told me that it literally just happened, but I don't seem so sure as we didn't see the move right there. Anthony Flack, another driver to watch for. Narrowly dodging some death earlier. And visibly a little beaten up. Sign of some war wounds out here on the Silverstone circuit here in Group 2. He's sandwiched between two bronze class cars and oh, big snap coming from the Ferrari, but he just catches it. Little bit of heart in your mouth moment right there. I'm sure at least one of you in the audience clenched a bit as we saw that Ferrari start to slide, but he caught it. So P10 is safe for now. How hard is he going to be pushing to catch up to Kevin Walker though? I wonder if his confidence has been shaken by that slip in the rear. How much he's going to give it his all. What a race so far. I've just got to take a moment of levity to say what a race it has been so far. And oh, that is Vissuri. Not sure what happened with Vissuri there. No, Vissuri, that is the wrong pit lane. I hate to inform you. That is the wrong pit lane. Yes. We are not running the F1 layout, my friend. This is the GT layout. So we are not pitting down here. We are pitting coming out of Woodcote, or going past Woodcote. What happens to the best of us? It sometimes can happen even to the best of us. Bit of a battle down for P25. See Quinkelenberg, Mikulev going for a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of an upward swing. And a bit further ahead is going to be Carl Thompson down in P24, but of course fastest in terms of being the only one right up where he is to have taken his stop. So P23, you might scoff at it now, but look, he's taken his stop. So technically, if he plays his cards right, he could have the net lead of the race. But Kellenberg has dropped all the way down now from this little squabble. They are going to be hot on the tails, hot on the coattails of Mikulev here. Are they going to go for a move down in the inside? They're going to be a little bit later on the brakes, that's for sure. They're going to see if they can get a tighter line and set themselves up for Luffield here. really going into the apex there. They're trying to get every ounce of pace they can. That is going to be, I believe, Vassallo into the pits there. Yep, that is Vassallo in the pits as Highmore and Sullivan are already in the lane. Looking for any real advantage he can get in this situation. Quinkelenberg. I wonder if he's getting a little bit frustrated right now. Because we can see some of his lines, they're a little bit unorthodox. I wonder if he's starting to see a little bit of the frustration coming through. He wants the position, of course. Who doesn't want the position? But keep your cool head. Play to your best strengths. Keep it on the racing line as much as you can, because remember, that's still optimal. Any attacking or defensive moves that are offline are going to cost you time. And you have got a Porsche behind you. I think that's Paul Smith, down P34. We've had a few retirements, a couple casualties from some of the earlier on-track pandemonium. We'll only get the real tally of that once the race is concluded. But so far, look at him go. A little bit of a narrow. Vassallo, interestingly, has been handed an in-race drive-through penalty. Not sure what that's about. First time I've seen it in this championship so far. Didn't have a single auto penalty in Group 1. And Vassallo's sitting here with a drive-through. So he's going to have to serve that. Serve it pretty sharpish. Back to Quinkelenberg. As he's continuing his bid to get P21. He's looking for nearly every opportunity. Careful on the sausage curbs. Careful on the curbs through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. A little bit too much, and you can see yourself either spearing off, and we see Mikolev do just that. You see yourself spearing off or losing a significant chunk of time in control. So has made it work, surprisingly enough, and very close to the rear of the BMW. That's what made me jump for a second there. We're on the bonnet cam. And then we get an M4 jump scare. Got to make myself more prepared next time. See, Mikolev has also yet to take his stop. So as we have just crossed the halfway point of the race, we should be expecting a few cars to be in the position where they are now taking their stops. And we see a significant chunk of the higher end of the field. McKillop, I think, just missed his pit box, and he had to reverse there. Goddard has inherited the lead of the race. But for how long? That is a valuable question. 6 drivers have put themselves into the pits. I think North is just coming out. North has just finished their stop, and they are going to be returning to the track, fresh and refueled. And then a few more coming in. Oh, but looking down, P21, that's Keith Moore. Let's try and see what happened here. So he's come down and just gone straight on. Don't really know what to say. He's just gone straight on there. And there you go. He's into the tyre wall. He's on the Armco. And he's just off track. I wonder if he's had a peripheral issue. It's very rare that someone just goes off on Aintree like that. I think he might have had a wheelbase disconnect. So unfortunate to see. You hate to see it. McKillop back on track. One of the drivers to watch earlier was nestled very comfortably in P5, now in P14. They're going to have a little bit of work cut out for them, but if they can play their cards right here, they can see themselves gaining some serious positions on the competition. Let's see what he can make of the scenario. We jump on board. Winklenberg. Hard to beat. Got to keep his wits about him, as you've got Smith just behind him too. And Smith, despite being a lap down, could still pose a credible threat. Certainly to the stability of his car if he gets round. Here we are, McKillop. He's going to go for it. He's on the brakes. He's heavy on the brakes. He's doing a real corker of a job here, putting that pressure on the McLaren. And sometimes not making the move, counterintuitively, can be more powerful than actually making it. Because if you fail to make the move, but you duck back and you remain right on their tail, that is pressure. And that mental pressure is going to result in some mistakes. And then is when you capitalize. As a driver, being a good one means having on-track pace. Being a great one means knowing how to weaponize on-track pace using strategy. And you can see there, Quinkellenberg is going to be heading into the pits. And along with Hilton and Mariano are going to be taking their stops this lap. A couple more drivers are going to be rejoining on the circuit. I believe that is Pollack, who is going to be rejoining down in P12. And, oh, a little bit of an off-track excursion there, it looked like. Just a little bit of rallycross. And bizarrely, a little bit of fighting between himself and Smith and P34. Should I say 33, because I think we just saw a retirement. My timing table has just updated. Meanwhile, Frank Tennant, P22, in the Bentley. Looking at getting a move on Lockhart done. Stop and go penalties have been handed out for Broadbent and Hilton. They've got 30-second stop and goes. They are going to certainly have a bit more of a difficult time. You can see Heim moving across there for a split second. As you've got Tony Hill going off a track. Let's see what happens going into Maggots and Beckett's now. Was it a little bit of an overestimation on the grip? He jumps onto the grass. He just loses a bit of control. He's gone sideways. He can't catch it. And there you go. Luckily, no third-party casualties, but that is going to certainly put a dent in the confidence, as he's now down in P26. And he's lost a couple of positions from that ordeal. We look a bit further up and we can see Mikolev has just lost the position to Gila. Are we going to see a retaliation? Or are we going to see Gila potentially start to make a bit of a rise here? Carallo and Devine in the pits this lap. Still got a few more drivers yet to do so. So Mikolev being one of them. I think nearly everyone, if not everyone, besides Mikolev, has taken their stop now. So I think the stop and go 30-second penalties that Carallo and Hilton have got to serve are certainly going to be a big race damper. Broadbent has served theirs now. You can see they're going to be coming out in P34. And a wounded Pride, but at least it's not a wounded car. Mikolev, Devine finishing their stop now as well. Should be coming out on track soon. Hughes could be going for a move on the lead here. You can see he goes left, he goes right. He's looking for opportunities. He's going to be posting it potentially to get a move down into Luffield Brooklands. He takes a bit of a wider line. Back on the rear of that Ferrari. He's looking for any signs of his opponent faltering, and it's just not coming. Goddard is in the power play position here. He's in the position of dominance. He cannot afford to make any mistakes, any missteps here. And you know he's feeling that pressure. So let's see what he can do here as we come through Cops. Coming up into Maggots Beckett's. Are we going to see any heroics? If he can get himself a good setup into Chapel, or chapel, then we are going to see some fireworks on track. I think Goddard went a little bit deep there. Didn't quite get the exit he wanted. Can't power out as early as he would like, but he's still got it done. And in fact, got a fairly healthy gap to Hughes. So we can see as we are pushing down through Stowe, Hughes is trying as best he can to find the balance between emulating Goddard, but also pushing it a little bit harder to catch up to him and stay out of his wake. Through some of the higher speed corners where these cars are very aero dependent, you don't want to be in someone else's toe, someone else's shadow, because that dirty air, that's going to weaken the efficiency of your aerodynamics, especially on the rear, which is going to play havoc with your car's stability. There you go, a little bit deeper into Village. Potentially could get a run out of Aintree. You can see him getting very close there. He's closed the gap by about a tenth through those couple of corners. Good job on you, Hughes. See also Mikolev a bit further down is going to be fighting with Anthony Flack for a position, for a move. Is going to be tucking back in. Is there going to be a little bit of fireworks? We nearly saw Pollock being collected. Sticking their nose in a bit too hard. Speaking of Pollock, he's going to be defending from Bernhard Heim in the yellow Ferrari. Let's see what he can do there. Is there going to be a bit of a challenge? I think Corallo has gone in. Not sure if they have gone into the pits to serve their penalty. Oh, big dive from Heim there, way too deep. He's onto the marbles, going through Village. Is he going to rejoin? Very risky rejoin too from Heim into the racing line, onto the apex. Luckily, no traffic there, but does go straight into the path, potentially, of Murray. Murray's not happy about it. You can see he's inching to get past. He does not want to be around this driver after that display. You can see a bit later on the brakes, there's a little bit of a tap. There's contact. Bit deeper for Murray. Heim is going to immediately go for the retake. And as we jump down into the last couple of corners of the lap and into the final 20 minutes of the race, Mikolev has also made a mistake. And into Woodcote, it's going to be a drag race up to the line. Heim has jumped up into P11. Is he going to hold it though? Because Mikolev doesn't look like he's giving it up just yet. He's not going without a fight. Even going a bit later on the brakes though, runs out of space. Mikolev's going to retire down into P13, as I believe that was a back marker in the Lamborghini there. We'll have to get that verified. Or was that a Lamborghini? Hilton now into the pits. No, that was, yeah, that was Center. So Center down in P29 did yield. Yielded to the cars in front. And now we could see Paul Murray be a challenge back on the position. You can see he wants it. He's going for moves. He might not even be within the same postal code, but he's brave. He's looking for it. He's going for it. Can say anything above 0.3 of a second, not really worth making the move for. You're going to have to make too dangerous of a dive, and it's too volatile of a move to take that risk. But that being said, Murray, I'm sure, is a little bit annoyed that Heim is up ahead of him. Looking like a potential opportunity in the works here. Yeah, Murray is very hungry for it. But that's the kind of tenacity we want to see in a driver. Oh, a little bit too much tenacity! That's both of them round. Both of them round. And he rears into him for good measure there. Right as I say, we want tenacity and a little bit of aggression in a driver. No, Murray. I didn't mean it literally. I did not mean it right now. I did not mean to ask you to change Heim's postal code, but here we are. You're going to be rejoining on track, but you are going to be suffering a bit of damage down in P12. Luckily, you're going to have a very courteous Center who is going to be yielding for you, and the blue flag rules being displayed. I do wonder if the commentator curse has followed me into ACC once again. I thought I shook it off back in F1 and Forza, but looks like it's followed me to ACC too, so go figure. We jump aboard with Tennant, and I've been particularly mesmerised with this driver, both on the front of being in the Bentley, which is a very off, well, a very off pick as far as the current meta of the car balancing goes, but also because they put in a really good work. They started P38, keep in mind. They started bottom of the barrel because I don't believe they set a quali lap, and here we are, P18, and this is the power of just keeping yourself out of trouble. We saw so much chaos, so much pandemonium around the rest of the field, and then Tennant has just quietly kept his head down. He's pushed through. He's looking like he's really getting his head in the game, and this is what the fruits of his labour are manifesting into. He's currently leading his class. He's leading the bronze class here in the Bentley, doing an amazing job. The number 44 car, pat on the back. Very good driving thus far. And now I believe everyone has taken their pit stops on track to boot. We jump to a different point in the field. We can see here over Surrey and Quinn Kellenberg potentially dicing and coming to blows. So we could see a move between them. We also could be seeing a move a bit further up. Vasuri's going for it. He goes way too narrow though. He goes into the grass. Move or not, staying behind is the right choice there. You don't want to incur any attention from the stewards. You go off track. Any moves you make when you are off track, and as a result of it, might as well be null and void. That's a good way to stay out of trouble. You accidentally pass outside of track limits, you hand it back. It's as simple as that. The Vasuri not content with that challenge. You see briefly tucking his nose to the inside line before taking a bit of a wider arc through Brooklands. We look a bit further up the field and we could be seeing Paul Murray finally going for that move on Bernhard Heim. Bit of a wider berth is left. Interestingly, yeah, that was very dicey because that was nearly Paul Smith just stopping on track very close to the racing line. I get you're trying to come out of the way of traffic, my friend, but there are more elegant ways to do it, and certainly not that close to the racing line there and right on the exit. But coming up to the final quarter of the race here, 14 minutes to go, and here is your roundup as things currently stand. You've got Goddard up in the top step with a very commanding 6-second lead against North. And curiously, Hughes, who was the main rival and the driver to beat in terms of Goddard's drive to be at the top, is now nearly 8 seconds behind. 22 seconds down, you've got Mitchell, and then you've got Thompson, Wallace, McKillop, Gillard, Flack, and Pollock making the top 10. We're back down to our on-track action. Looks like Paul Murray has shaken off Heim by a fairly significant margin to boot. About a second, which in racing terms is very far indeed. It's time to see who has the resolve to make it to the end without any more drama. So we got a lot of that out of our system in the first half of the race. Things have, for the most part, calmed down. I'm not going to say entirely, because I'm just going to incur another incident. The commentator's curse is very real indeed. But we have seen things mostly calm down. And now it's going to be a test of attrition to see who can make it to the end. And as we were saying with the Group 1 broadcast, again, go back, watch that if you missed it after this. A big sticking point we were talking about in the Group 1 broadcast is, will drivers push to make up positions? Or will they commit to their current position and play a bit of a safer drive, defensive if they have to protect it? Like, for instance, Paul Murray's case. He's got 11 seconds between himself and the next driver along. So in his case, the choice is obvious. Play it safe, play it calm, don't be overzealous, and lock in a strong P11 finish. But if I am someone like Heim, who's just behind him, he's within a second, so that debate becomes a lot more nuanced. He could go for the move, but what's to say he doesn't lose it again? He could go a bit more aggressive and then take it at the last second. He could even look at really pushing and trying to make a breakaway, so that way he's completely uncontested. These are the kind of decisions that go through a racer's mind at this stage in the race. Beyond the immediate moment-to-moment driving, where the real nuance lies in racing is knowing when to attack, when to defend, and when to deploy your strategic options. Strategic options aside, we look at Frank Tennant, and you can see a very good move going through cops, exploiting the poor line of his opponent. That is going to be Coulomb dropping down into P17. And I think we also saw a bit of an off. If we just hit the replay, that's Devine, who has made quite the hiccup and got himself nearly marooned on a sausage curb going through the loop. He does correct himself going out into Aintree, but certainly not a good position to be in. Lockhart is also another car who is going to challenge. Coulomb has started dropping down in pace and position, so I wonder if Lockhart is going to capitalise in the same way Tennant did. The 808 car looking very strong. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he does here. I wonder if Coulomb is going to settle. Oh no, he's not going to settle. Look at him. He's right on the tail of Tennant. He's really pushing for that move, and Tennant makes a crucial mistake coming out of the loop, going into Aintree. They're going to be going side by side, but Tennant doesn't have the speed. It's going to be Coulomb's. Coulomb is going to reassert himself into P16, but Tennant's not done yet. He's going to go much harder, and he's going to brake much later than the Ferrari. I think almost baited him out, spooked him a little bit there, because it seemed completely uncontested from the 296, and I think even Locker, I wasn't able to tell for sure, but it looked like he almost went into the back of him. I wonder if there's some mind games, some mind tricks at play here, because Tennant's move around the outside went completely uncontested. Very classic, well, very classy move, I have to say. But wow. I wonder what is going through Coulomb's mind right now. You can see he's getting a little bit too aggressive with the curves. He is dipping 2 tyres onto the grass, and you don't want to be dipping onto the grass and dirt, because that's when you can see some grip losses. Got to be very careful of that. Dirtying your tyres, especially these racing compounds, can make your grip levels a lot less consistent. And if there's anything a racing driver hates, it's a lack of consistency. You want your car to behave the same way with the same approach every time. Simple as. If your car suddenly loses a lot of braking force, suddenly loses a lot of grip on the outside tyres, you are in deep trouble. It's a lot harder to react than it is to be proactive. But we stick on board with Coulomb for now, as this battle in the middle for P16 is very much alive and kicking. Even with Lockhart getting very, very close and really eyeing up a move at this stage. It's not just happening yet. It's just not quite materializing. We jump a bit further up and we look at Dorigo. This Marquez up in P13. And a driver that Dorigo, I know, has been keeping a firm eye on for the past few laps. Now, importantly, we have 7 minutes and 30 seconds left. Drivers are running out of time. They've got realistically about 3.5 more laps in them, and then it is game over. So as a driver, if I want to make a move, I basically have to do it now. Because if I leave it too late, I might not be able to get the confirm. I might not be able to lock the move in through a set of corners like Maggots Beckett or like Village and the Loop, and then power out through Aintree. Time is of the essence, and time is not on Dorigo's side. And the rest of the field has mostly settled down. We haven't really got many other drivers in close proximity, short of right here. So 6 minutes to go. 6 minutes 30 seconds. And Dorigo is looking for options. And he's trying to coax Smukas into making a mistake. See a little bit wider on the apex there. Dorigo has to get a bit earlier on the brakes because he doesn't want to go into the side of that Porsche. That being said, potentially a nicer run into Aintree. Could be getting a bit more speed. Looking very close on the rear there. Within a 1/10 of a second. Very much looking like a potential move. He's going to put it down the inside. He's going to go straight for the curbs. It's a very big send, but one that has paid off and paid dividends. And it's very nice from there. We jump quick back, we look at the timesheets, and we can see that up in P16 was Tennant, but seemed to have just fumbled their exit out of the loop. So we kind of get a bit of deja vu here because they've done this a couple times already. They just messed up the exit to the loop. They don't get the apex to Aintree as a result. And now you look at the times. These are second behind. And what's happened? That's Lockhart. That is Lockhart off the track. What has happened? Let's see what's happened here. You can see just a bit too much off the track. Bit too much onto the curbs, and that's all it takes. That is all it takes for a mistake like that to permeate. And you can see Frank Tennant, he's in the pits. He's in the pits after that. Did he get damage or something? He's taken his pit stop already. He's taken his mandatory. So unless something is going on there... Oh, that is Mike Hilton that has gone completely off. Let's see a bit of a replay of what's happened there. Chasing down center. And, oh, just too much braking, under cornering. And he's gone into the infield. And then you can see also a bit of a brief replay. Mike Bull had a brief yellow come out because he went for a little bit of an off-track excursion too. Mario Mariano. Only Lexus on track. P21. Currently doing very well for himself. And making a great statement for those off picks. Tennant has returned to the track, but they're going to be down in P26. And crucially, stop and go 30 seconds is a death nail. That is a death nail for anyone's race drive. Pit lane speeding is a very real problem. So that is going to be a very rough time for Tennant. Yeah, I think what happened with Tennant is he just didn't fuel himself up properly. Didn't fuel himself up enough maybe, or burnt a bit too much over the course of a stint. But then, yeah, coming in, getting the stop and go 30 second for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunate to see. Unfortunate indeed. We could see a little bit of a battle for P8 coming in, however, as Guillaume and Flack are in close proximity. I wonder if either of them are nursing any damage. I know they were involved in a couple of skirmishes in the early stages. But we're coming up to the final 2 minutes now. Final 2 minutes of the race, ladies and gentlemen. So this is crunch time. Do you stick or do you send? I think Flack nearly chose the send option, but he opted to yield for the time being. Bide your time till the perfect moment, but that window is rapidly closing. Do you stick or do you send? That's the motto of these last couple of minutes, as we are going to round out the hour very, very soon. We're going to have 2 more laps from the race leader. We're going to round it off, I believe, on 30 laps. And we will see what comes. And Goddard, 7.5 seconds clear over the next racer, as Hughes is very much further afield. They've got round north, but it's not going to be enough. Hughes has such a great starting position that it's very interesting, and well, I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest with you, that they haven't been able to push up that time. I do feel for Tennant though. 30 seconds stop and go after what I can only assume to be a fuel management issue. Having to come back into the pits and getting that slapped on your way out. That is a brutal happening. A brutal circumstance to happen to you, to hit you like that. And there you go, there is the radio call. The leader is on the final lap of the race. It's been confirmed. So this is where any last minute sends are about to come to the forefront. Are we going to see any movement? We could see some movement from Visuri. P24 looking on P23. No, plays it calmer, plays it conservative. Not going to be aggressive. He's going to choose to drive another day. Potentially looking a bit further. As we come to the final few seconds, Andrew Goddard is going to have to cross the line in order to call race's end. But until that point, we are still going around this track. And I want to pay some appreciation. Oh, what's happened with Devine? They've gone off Maga to Beckett's. Oh, they're going to rejoin. They're rejoining at the racing line. Nearly getting themselves involved in quite the skirmish. Nearly getting Mikolev into the back of them. No last minute move from Mikolev coming in. Potentially Devine. Are they going to send it? No, but Mikolev's going to get a great switchback. Very nicely done there. Very nicely done. I have to say, Mikolev playing very aggressive, but we jump up to the top end of the field once again, and we see, despite maybe a little bit of early game doubts, it's gonna be Andrew Goddard who takes the win. The number 33 car crossing the line for lap 30. And that is the end of round 1 here in Silverstone. You see a little bit of a wiggle in celebration before peeling off. Excellent stuff. Excellent drive from him there. Carl Thompson potentially looking for a move, but no, not quite yet. So Hughes and North are going to cross in second and third. That is your podium for the gold class. Now, what are we going to see from some of the other classes? We could see a last-minute move coming out of Pollock against Flack, because I think Flack has all but abandoned their efforts to try and chase down Gila. Remember, different classes, you don't necessarily want to be fighting as much. As we can see, Mitchell, Thompson. Winner of the silver class is going to be Paul Wallace with an amazing drive. A very quiet drive, but as far as racers go, that's exactly what you want. Aguila, Flack, Pollock all coming in now. Dorigo going for a last minute move on Heim. but it doesn't happen. It doesn't materialize. Let's see a few more cars coming in to finish now. They're going to spawn themselves out into the pits, clear the track up, and there you go. That is Hyman Dorigo coming in, Dismukes coming in, P14, Sullivan P15, Coulomb a bit further back, 24 seconds back in fact. Wonder what happened. But that is Coulomb, P16, and then just behind him it's going to be Kevin Walker as your winner for the bronze class, the winner for the bronze division. North has dropped out of the session, so we won't see them on the final standings, but rest assured we have their results recorded. And then last couple of drivers to cross the line. You've got Gary Broadbent coming through, and then it is just Tony Hill, last car to cross through. And then we will have this race completed, folks. And that is Group 2 at Silverstone done and dusted. Well done, well played to all involved. GG's to all drivers. And they're peeling back into the pits now, but there you go. That is your race winner, Andrew Goddard. And then Wallace is going to set themselves as the winner for silver class, with Walker taking the top spot, the top honours for bronze. And that's where you have it, folks. That is where we call it for this evening. So that is race done and dusted. You can see the chat coming in. Great race. Wonder if the apologies channels are going to light up for the many, many incidents that happened. But we'll, of course, see what comes of it. Regardless of your finishing position, regardless of how things turned out, well done to all drivers who started, who finished, and everyone in between. You put in a good effort, you put in a good race. We did say goodbye to a couple of drivers. So namely, well, let's say namely you see Martin down there. Unfortunately, I can't scroll any further for the others, but to say Martin, Goddardly, Melon, Moore, and Vassallo all dropping out there. So, never mind. Fortunately, 5 drivers did not make the end, but the 33 who did, well done to you all. That is where we're going to round things off, at least for tonight, folks, and that is where we are going to say goodbye for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure, if you want to get involved, you can join the Discord, but you need to be on the Facebook as well first before you get involved, get stuck in. Make sure you subscribe, you like the stream if you've enjoyed what we've done here. And now we see where this leaves us in the rest of the championship. I'm not going to speculate too much, but all I'm going to say is see you in Spa. See you in Spa for round 2.